No.
The wrestling world was rocked to its core when Jon Moxley stormed into the Backlash press conference. Not in person, but through a hacked broadcast straight from AEW's blood-stained battlefield. With Tony Khan's blessing and a mic gripped like a loaded weapon, Moxley fired off truth bombs that obliterated Triple H's carefully crafted WWE narrative. From exposing humiliating creative pitches to revealing why he really walked away, Moxley didn't just respond. He declared war. This wasn't a promo. It was a pipe bomb of biblical proportions. Buckle up. What you're about to witness might just change wrestling history forever. The press conference. Glitch. A moment of chaos. As the Backlash press conference continued, WWE's carefully curated broadcast was interrupted by a sudden glitch. The screen flickered and went black. What followed could only be described as a game-changing moment. When the feed returned, the familiar WWE backdrop was gone, replaced by the gritty AEW arena. There, standing in the center, was none other than Jon Moxley, gripping a microphone like a weapon, his eyes burning with the kind of fury only he could harness. Covered in sweat, blood, and the remnants of his violent AEW match, Moxley was far from the smiling corporate puppet WWE fans had once known. This wasn't the former Shield member holding a scripted mic. No, this was a man on a mission. Someone who had suffered, bled, and been betrayed by the very company that once promised him glory. Moxley's scathing retort, Triple H's creative freedom. Exposed from the moment Moxley opened his mouth, it was clear. There was no going back. Triple H had been speaking about WWE's inability to contain Moxley's creativity, painting a narrative of freedom and choice. But Moxley wasn't buying it. With venom dripping from his words, he leaned into the camera and launched into a blistering tirade. "You want to rewrite history, Paul? Let's set the record straight," Moxley growled, his voice low but filled with intensity. The AEW crowd erupted into a frenzy, their energy feeding off Moxley's raw emotion. They weren't just watching a man venting his frustrations, they were witnessing a revolution in real time. "You buried me in clown makeup after I bled for this company," Moxley shouted, the words reverberating through the arena. His eyes locked onto the camera, daring anyone to challenge his words. The AEW crowd roared in agreement, fueling the fire Moxley had just ignited. Never before heard details. The WrestleMania betrayal. The anger in Moxley's voice grew, and with it, the revelations he was about to drop. Moxley didn't just talk about how he had been mistreated in WWE. He gave fans a deep, painful look into the creative shackles that had bound him for years. The former WWE superstar dropped a bombshell no one saw coming. "They wanted me to lose to a 50-year-old part-timer in 90 seconds at WrestleMania. Then they wondered why I walked out," Moxley revealed, the crowd hanging on every word. It was the kind of inside information that sent shockwaves through the wrestling world. A top-tier talent like Moxley, forced to job to a part-time veteran in a storyline that never made sense, was the kind of thing that could break even the most loyal WWE fans. The truth was painful, brutal, and impossible to ignore. But Moxley wasn't done yet. The death blow, a WWE script page is unleashed. With his emotions boiling over, Moxley reached into his bag and pulled out a piece of paper, a WWE script from 2019. He held it up to the camera, the crinkled paper almost symbolic of his battered soul after years of being stifled by the company that once touted his talent. "This," Moxley sneered, "is the creative freedom I was given. Ambrose, act scared of a Pomeranian." The crowd gasped as Moxley's voice cracked with disdain. The words on the page were surreal, almost laughable, until you realized they represented the frustrating reality Moxley had faced in WWE. It was a stark reminder of how the company had been more concerned with controlling its superstars than letting them flourish. And this moment, Moxley exposing WWE's lack of creative liberty, was a pivotal turning point in the war between WWE and AEW. As Moxley tossed the script aside, he uttered the line that would become his ultimate mic drop. WWE didn't fix me. They just took the handcuffs off. The weight of that statement hung in the air, leaving a profound impact on everyone watching. AEW hadn't fixed Moxley. No one could have. But they had given him the freedom to be himself. And now, with AEW cameras rolling under Tony Khan's blessing, Moxley had weaponized WWE's own transparency problem, turning it into a defining moment that no one would ever forget. WWE reacts. The fallout is instantaneous. The impact of Moxley's takedown was immediate. WWE's live feed cut abruptly, leaving the fans at Backlash stunned and scrambling for answers. The company tried to regain control, but it was too late. The damage had been done, and the truth had already been exposed for millions of viewers to see. Backstage, the fallout was just as intense. Sources revealed that Triple H, visibly furious, immediately called an emergency meeting with WWE's legal team. The man known for his careful PR control was now trying to figure out how to contain the damage Moxley had unleashed. It was a clear sign that WWE was scrambling to maintain its hold on the narrative. But the most shocking moment of all came from an unexpected source. CM Punk, who had been watching from the AEW locker room, was seen nodding in approval as Moxley dropped truth bomb after truth bomb. Punk, himself no stranger to the WWE machine, had a front-row seat to one of the most historic moments in wrestling history. This wasn't just about Moxley's grievances. It was about sending a message. Punk's approval made it clear. This was a battle for the soul of professional wrestling. AEW was now the place where the truth was being spoken, where past wrongs were being avenged, and where the old guard of WWE was being challenged on every front. The rise of AEW, Uncensored Truth versus WWE's corporate spin. Moxley's words hit harder than any steel chair could have. This wasn't just a response to Triple H. It was a weaponized declaration of AEW's mission. No longer would WWE control the narrative, manipulating its superstars and forcing them into cookie-cutter personas. AEW was proving that the past wasn't something that could be rewritten. It was something to be avenged. This bold, defiant moment was a statement for AEW's fans and for all the wrestlers who had ever felt stifled by WWE's corporate grasp. Moxley, Punk, and others weren't just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for the future of the industry, where superstars could finally reclaim their autonomy and tell their own stories without being shackled by corporate agendas. The fallout. What happens next? As the dust settled from Moxley's explosive takedown, fans began to ask, did Moxley just change the course of wrestling history? Was this the moment that AEW truly surpassed WWE in terms of creative freedom and fan loyalty? WWE now found itself at a crossroads. How would the company respond? Would they continue to try to push their carefully curated narratives, or would they address the growing dissent from former stars like Moxley and Punk? One thing was certain. The war between WWE and AEW had just escalated to new heights. The road to SummerSlam 2025, the battle for control. The tension between AEW and WWE is only going to intensify in the months leading up to SummerSlam 2025. Moxley's takedown has given AEW a massive boost, and the company now finds itself in a position of power. With the likes of Punk, Moxley, and others leading the charge, AEW is no longer just a rival. It's a legitimate threat to WWE's dominance in the industry. But WWE is not a company that goes down without a fight. Triple H, Vince McMahon, and the rest of WWE's hierarchy will undoubtedly regroup, find new ways to push their vision, and attempt to neutralize the threat that AEW poses. As SummerSlam 2025 draws nearer, one question remains on everyone's mind. Which company will reign supreme? Will WWE respond with a vengeance? Or will AEW continue to capitalize on its position as the home of wrestling's uncensored truth? Final thoughts. The war is far from over. The war between AEW and WWE has reached a boiling point, and Moxley's takedown at the Backlash press conference was just the beginning. Fans are buzzing with excitement, eager to see how this rivalry unfolds in the coming months. Will WWE be forced to respond, or will AEW continue to expose the corporate cracks in the WWE machine? What is certain, however, is that the wrestling world will never be the same. The landscape has been forever altered, and with superstars like Moxley and Punk on the front lines, the future of professional wrestling is wide open. Stay tuned, because this war is far from over.